there would be no Howard Stern. The Russians have a toast. If you ever go to Russia, they'll pick up a vodka and they'll give a toast to those who went before. And we should always think, who went before? Before you could turn on your satellite radio, God help you, and listen to Howard Stern. People, in times when it doesn't seem to matter, fight the battles. When it really does matter, and when people take risks. Howard Stern today takes home $50 million a year, I read in the Wall Street Journal this morning. The people who fought for free speech in 1954 and 1944 didn't earn $50 million, they didn't earn $50. They got 50 months, like Gershon Legman, going to prison. It's what people do years before that means something when it comes to free speech. And remember, it's not just free speech, it's a free speech movement. Free speech without a movement is okay, but it doesn't mean much. You can walk up and down the road here and have all the free speech you want. But will your free speech have any real effect? We have substantive free speech in this country today, legally, up to a point, as long as you don't say several things about George Bush. And if you're on the left, you can't say many things about John Kerry. In fact, when it comes to John Kerry, there's probably less freedom of speech than any individual in America. Are we permitted to say anything about John Kerry? No. The left has completely given up saying anything substantive about John Kerry or that mighty tribune of the people, the multi-million-dollar trial lawyer, John Edwards. We're not allowed to say anything because we're under one big tent. And does that tent encourage free speech? No, it does not. Because that tent is called the Democratic Party. I've been in this country for 30 years. I have never seen a more miserable display by the left than I have in the last year. It's terrible. There was a guy called Howard Dean. You remember Howard Dean? We all thought Howard Dean was pretty mainstream. But Howard Dean at least said maybe the war, he said it every other day, which counts as free speech, he said maybe the war in Iraq is bad. Within minutes, Howard Dean was gone. He was a dead duck. And we had John Kerry, and the left said, well, we like Howard Dean, and who's the new guy, Kerry? We like him too. And then John Kerry said, wait a minute, I'm in favor of the war. They said, that's all right. He said, but I'm in favor of appointing anti-choice judges. The left said, that's fine with us. Then he said, well, I've got a guy as my national security man, Rand Beers, he's in favor of dousing Colombian peasants with glyphosate. That's called Roundup. And the left said, that's okay. Then he said, well, I voted for every free trade pact in the entire history of the world. They said, that's good with us. We love you. And then he said, well, is there anything I can do that you don't like? They said, no. He said, I was a prosecutor. I helped throw innocent people into prison terms in the federal system, in the state system, in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for years on end. They said, that's all right, they probably deserved it. He said, I have done nothing to combat the Patriot Act. In fact, I voted for it. They said, that's okay. He said, when it comes to the Middle East, I'm probably even worse than George Bush. Kerry is an amazingly honest man. You cannot have got wrong the kind of person John Kerry is. He has left no doubt in anyone's heart that he is, on most and all substantive issues, the same as George Bush. You cannot tell them apart, except one is slightly smaller and seemingly a little bit stupider. But when it comes to substance, you want substance, they are exactly the same. I have a book here, a counterpunch book, called A Dime's Worth of Difference. Well, that was the sound gone. That's the Kerry people have struck. No freedom of speech. There is not. The dime isn't worth what it used to be. The dime has been devalued. There's about, oh, I don't know, a cent's worth of difference. How do we get out of this? You say to these people, how can you go for Kerry? He's the same as Bush. He's probably worse in some ways because he says, I'll run the empire more efficiently. It's probably good to have someone as stupid as Bush running the empire. He's made mistakes. It's the best we can hope for. John Kerry says, when I attack Iran, when I amp up the war in Iraq, when I introduce the draft by saying I won't introduce the draft, when I appoint anti-choice judges, I will do it looking like a Roman senator, looking dignified, not stuttering and half-demented like a man from Texas. Is this the best we can hope for?